Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're talking about some pretty big news. So the Disney Plus service that is going to be coming out sometime this year apparently is spending huge money. Disney is spending huge money on it, upwards to $500 million on the program. Now, this is interesting because they're putting in that much investment into the service before the service has even come out, and also in lieu of the fact that they've just recently announced loss in the streaming field when it comes to their share in Hulu and also their share in ESPN Plus and things like that. So it kind of makes me wonder, obviously they have a lot of confidence, or maybe they're just trying to take this as seriously as they can because they realize, wait a minute, we need to have good content on here if people are going to buy it, because guess what? A lot of people are pissed off because of a variety of things that we're doing at this point. So maybe just having a low entry point, having a low monthly rate isn't going to be enough. Maybe we actually have to, just maybe, have some compelling stuff on there too. So it looks like they're taking that seriously. $500 million is nothing to snuff at, but let's see what they're actually spending. So new reports suggest that Disney will spend up to $500 million on programming for its upcoming streaming service, Disney Plus. Details on the marketing and development plans for the service have recently been coming to light, with the years in the making Disney Fox acquisition nearly a done deal, but still not done at this point. Despite legislative and shareholder concerns similar to the ones that came out of the AT&T Time Warner merger and rival bids from Comcast, the Disney-Fox deal is expected to be completed this March. For longtime Disney boss Bob Iger, Disney Plus is the next big move in maintaining the House of Mouse's entertainment empire. So based on that information, and this is stuff that we've kind of known already, we're not going to get Disney Plus at least until probably April, because they're going to want to get this merger taken care of. It's obviously taking a lot of their attention, but also a lot of their time and money too. So they want to get that done. They want to make sure they have, they contain that and rather obtain all that content that they're going to get from the Fox deal. But they also want to make sure they have it before they announce anything as far as price, as far as shows, official shows, before they give really anything at this point, which really leaves Disney in a very precarious situation, because not only are we now still at this point in the end of January with no Star Wars 9 teaser, not even a teaser poster. The most recent thing we've gotten from Disney, at least from Lucasfilm's perspective, the Star Wars perspective, is the poster for Star Wars Celebration. Like that is the only thing that we've really gotten. We've gotten a lot of leaks, we've gotten a lot of rumors, but we really haven't had anything that's tangible, something that we can actually grasp onto. And so what this tells me is that, okay, their focus is on this deal, but also how much of their focus is truly on Star Wars Episode 9 at this point. We have no news on it, we have nothing about it, so how are they going to get people excited for this program? And it makes you ask the question, is them trying to put money in these projects, or at least announce them doing this, making these things and making these projects and putting so much money into them, is that a way that they're maybe going to try and get some more eyes onto their service? Because at the end of the day, it sounds like they're going to have somewhat of a quick turnaround when it comes to actually acquiring the Fox deal, again, having that go through, but then also trying to determine, okay, which movies do we put on there? Do you put everything on there? Are you going to have a tiered type system? I think these are all questions that they aren't really quite ready to answer yet, because of the fact they don't know what content they're going to get, because even though it's a done deal at this point, even though many people are saying that it's going to happen, as my dog's fighting in the background, which I always love when that happens, what we really don't know is for sure with 100% certainty if the deal is going to go through. I mean, there could be a legislative block. There could be legislative questions that kind of keep this going on and on and on. And so it leaves us with that question, what are they going to be putting money into? Are they going to start putting things into these projects right away? I mean, we already know that they've cast The Mandalorian. We already know that that's already begun the process of being made, and that's going to be a Disney Plus exclusive. But I feel like this deal, and also the fact that we're really not going to get much word on it, at least by March, tells me that that means that they've still got some time to get everything ready. They still got some time to try and make it as appeasing as possible. But it also leaves the question, how much are they going to charge? Are they going to have a tiered system? And also, where is this $500 million going to be going into, especially if that money might not be returned on the investment they make? Despite years of lucrative licensing deals between Disney and the global streaming powerhouse Netflix, relations between the two quietly began to disintegrate in recent history. The long-floating rumors that Disney's collection of animated classics would be added to Netflix never made it to fruition, and Disney eventually withdrew from a 2016 exclusive rights deal with Netflix involving Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, and Disney. In 2017, the launch of Disney Plus was announced, which some have speculated led to the recent cancellation of several Netflix original Marvel TV series. Netflix has continued to move forward with its focus on its original content, upping their investments by billions and raising subscription fees in the process. For now, it looks like Disney Plus will go a different route when it comes to divvying up their content investments. And so this is also another reason why we kind of have this sense of uncertainty, because it's not just legislative issues that are going to cause issues with the deal going on between Disney and Fox, but also, as it says there, shareholders are also being very wary of everything going on because they see the same financial reports that we have. They see that there's been a decline in Star Wars revenue. They see that the Solo Star Wars story lost $200 million. They see that the Disney service, before it's even gone and come to light, is kind of in danger with the fact that they lost money in an investment that they made in Hulu and ESPN Plus and all these other programs. So if I was a shareholder at this point, I'd be saying, okay, yeah, we're making money when it comes to Marvel, we're making money when it comes to some of these properties, but we're also seeing some losses, and all of this is going to be before we open up a streaming service that might end up costing us more than what we actually put into it. So it's interesting to me that even with all this uncertainty, that Disney is willing to try and at least announce that they're going to plan to put $500 million in the projects, but also actually ask the question, where's that money going to go to? And what is their end goal going to be? What is their focus? Are they going to focus mostly on Star Wars content? Are they going to try and divvy it up evenly? Honestly, I don't know. If we were still back in 2012 when they first acquisition, there's no question in my mind that if they were announcing a streaming service, it would be almost entirely focused on Star Wars, because Star Wars, even despite the fact that they would like to say, oh, it was in a terrible position, again, I still argue that Clone Wars was a very well-received show from the fan base, and again, because it got about 5 seasons, tells me all I really need to know that the success of that show. But also, too, that the hunger and desire for more films and more Star Wars content was so high. We've reached a point now, and again, just look to any person's opinion on The Last Jedi. Look at the fact that it's like a 50-50 split on Rotten Tomatoes. But even more so, just look to all the channels and all the growth of the channels that have all really found a connection by the fact that we hated The Last Jedi and we hate the current direction that Disney is taking Star Wars, because we feel like they are not really understanding Star Wars as far as a story is concerned, that they're breaking canon, that they're falling away from canon, they're making really stupid choices, all for the sake of some progressive agenda. Which, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy has gone on record to say was her intention when they took over in the very first place. And so now we're left with a position where, well, Star Wars really isn't all that hot anymore. Maybe that's the reason why they realize, oh yeah, we kind of need to make sure that the teaser trailer is good, because if it's not, it's going to get torn apart. Do we really want to have a trailer torn apart for 12 months? That's the reason why I think they haven't released a trailer yet. But we'll know when we actually get something. Market research now predicts that Disney will spend roughly $500 million on Disney Plus original programming in 2019. So not just over the course of the next couple of years, but in 2019 alone, they're going to spend around $500 million. Disney is expected to spend about $23.8 billion total on content, compared to the projected $14 billion to be spent by Netflix, according to RBC Capital Markets senior media analyst Stephen Cahill spoke to Variety. Disney spends more on content than anyone else globally. It has decades of experience in making excellent content. It has a huge balance sheet with low leverage, and it's a brand that's known the world over. But you see, you say all that, but then I look at these numbers and I say, so wait a minute, you're spending twice as much on content than Netflix, but you are planning to offer lower prices, lower subscription fees. And again, we don't know if there's going to be a tiered system or what that's going to look like, but still, you've gone on record to try and say we are going to be competitive with Netflix and to be cheaper than Netflix, but your content is going to be pretty much chained to just Disney content, which after Disney has the deal with Fox is going to be even more content than that, which I think will definitely help them out, which is the reason why that deal really needs to go through, because if that deal doesn't go through, there's going to be a little bit more problems as far as overall content. But to me, that's kind of ballsy of them to do that, of them to be spending overall $23.8 billion total on content for a streaming service when they've already shown themselves, when dealing with other streaming services, to be making bad investments. So if I was a shareholder at this point, and you've seen, people over at The Motley Fool have made comments and have made articles about this saying, hey, as a shareholder, this is kind of worrisome. This revenue loss that they had, the 200 plus, was around $200 million that they lost when it came to their online revenue, the $200 million that they lost on Solo Star Wars story, and these are all negatives, these are all losses, and most of it comes from the Star Wars universe. And yeah, you can say that it's being made up in other areas, but at the end of the day, this is one of the richest IPs in history. And this is all before their streaming service even comes out, and they're putting $23.8 billion. Keep this in mind. They spent $4 billion to buy Star Wars. Now, some people have argued saying, oh, they've already made that back. But when you actually take into account how much they spent on those movies and how much money they actually made from the box office, and the fact that you had to subtract $200 million because of Solo, tells you that they may have made that money back from Star Wars alone. People got to easily argue saying, oh, well, Marvel's made that up in spades. But still, $4 billion to buy one of the richest IPs in history, and they're spending $23.8 billion, but they're going to charge less money. I don't see where all this is adding up. And then saying we're going to spend $500 million on more original content before deals are through, before anything has been officially announced, to me, is kind of them. I think that they're jumping the gun here. I think that they are just being too confident in their own stuff. I think they're being too confident in how well they're going to do overall. And I think that there's a very good chance that the Disney service does not perform as well as they should. Now, I've said this before too. If they put a crap ton of content, if they put original shows, if they put not just original shows, but also classic shows, if they put their entire library of Disney content, of Fox content, of everything that they've taken in so far, and they offer it for like a $5.99, $6.99 a month plan, that is going to bring some people in. But my question is, how can you spend $23.8 billion, charge such a low fee, and then just bank on, oh, well, a lot of people are going to buy the service and it's going to pay for itself? I'm not really seeing them receiving $23.4 billion worth of investment from people buying the service, but that's just me. I could be totally wrong on that. Disney has also reportedly planned an investors presentation in April, as well as a preview of Disney Plus and its coming content. Recent rumors indicated that Disney Plus original series would be given budgets of up to $100 million, which would apply to projects like the planned Falcon and Winter Soldier series and Star Wars The Mandalorian. Last August, Iger implied that the Disney strategy for maximizing the weight of the Marvel and Lucasfilm brands was first creating quality shows rather than trying to compete with Netflix's expansive library of originals. So that to me is interesting, because you are then going into and going against Netflix's wide variety of originals, because you're creating original content. Yeah, sure, you're not creating, brand new concepts that Netflix seems to do on a daily basis, but you also still are launching new series, new shows that you're going to have to be able to sell to the audience. On top of that, as we see now with this, because again, I'm learning more and more as I read these articles, now with an investors meeting apparently planned for April, that means that we're probably not going to get Disney Plus until maybe May. Maybe even later in this year. I know some people have speculated that it's going to be towards the end of 2019. But the reason why I don't know if that's the best idea is because if you try and get 2019's release too close to Episode 9, and if rumors and footage and everything else comes out from Episode 9, and people are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, they haven't learned their lesson. Wait a minute, they're still going in this direction. Wait a minute, oh, wait, this was a total knock on the fans. Because, sometimes they do that. If that's the case, I don't know if that's going to be the best deal for them, because I think a lot of people at that point are going to say, not only am I not seeing Episode 9, I'm not buying the streaming service either. It's still an interesting thing to look into, with the fact that they're also spending so much money on all of these things. Iger says, we have the luxury of programming this product with programs from those brands or derived from those brands, which obviously creates a demand and gives us the ability to not necessarily be in volume game, but to be in quality game. But here's the thing. When you talk about Star Wars, the quality game have kind of been running a little bit low lately. So, yeah, you can talk about how Marvel is going to bring some eyeballs to the screen, but if Star Wars cannot live up to the name, if Star Wars cannot bring in people that just want to see Star Wars content, your investment might end up being a really bad idea. Iger's comments back up the theory that the long-term reward for an investment as big as Disney Plus will be at least partially contingent on the Marvel and Lucasfilm brands retaining their influence on wide demographics of audiences. However, concerns that oversaturation of superhero content may result in a decline in interest in the MCU characters post-Avengers Endgame has been raised. The mixed reception of Star Wars The Last Jedi created a group of franchise detractors, and Solo's Star Wars story resulted in lukewarm box office returns. Netflix has spent years cultivating a successful strategy of hand-picking compelling and diverse series like Stranger Things, House of Cards, and The Crown. The question is, how long could it take for Disney Plus to catch up? Because as we see, the timeline for its launch is getting pushed back further and further, and I think that they said it best here on Screen Rant, where it says, the mixed reception for Star Wars Last Jedi, I think that's being very kind at this point, but at least they're admitting that it is indeed a mixed reception that's going on here. Again, that is indeed something that created people who have detracted from that current franchise. So if their game, what they're trying to do is continue on in the stories that they're trying to tell that have been based on the movies they've released so far. For example, they're trying to do a Diego Luna series, you know, dealing with Rogue One. Even though Rogue One is more universally accepted by fans, I know that I personally don't really care about that character because that character was not the most interesting one. I don't care. I don't want to know more about that character, so I'm not going to be watching that show. But how many people are actually going to be interested in that character? I know that I'm excited for The Mandalorian, but that's only so far because of the fact that I've heard about the cast. And that's that's the only thing I really have to go off of. But it's very easy for us to find out. It's very easy for us to learn more and more and more. And if you're putting so much money, $100 million into each of these shows, and $500 million alone into 2019, and 23.8 or 28 point whatever billion dollars over the long term of content that you're trying to put into this, I would be worried too. Because you have a lot to catch up with when it comes to Netflix. And even though you have exclusive content, and as you know, Bob Iger is pretty much banking on, and here's where it really all comes down to in summary. Bob Iger and Disney are banking on the fact that they are using programs and products that have a past, that have a history, that are recognizable. And they think that what they're going to be able to do is they're going to be able to use those names to bring eyeballs to their service. The problem is that one of those names is Star Wars. And if we learned anything from Solo: A Star Wars Story, Star Wars fans will not show up if they don't want to. Star Wars fans will stay home if they feel they're not getting the content that we think they deserve. And so if Disney continues in the direction they're going, and they have not shown any sign of stopping. Yeah, Chuck Wendig got fired, but that's because Chuck Wendig was doing so many things that Disney just couldn't defend it anymore. But we still have Kathleen Kennedy. Rian Johnson's trilogy has not been talked about in a long time, which means theoretically it's still on. And yet you're expecting people to just to fly to your service because Disney and Star Wars are in the title. You saw the same thing, people thought the same thing with Solo, and yet somehow that movie didn't make any money. So good luck investing that much money into your service. Again, reportedly by multiple sites, putting in a crap ton of money, $500 million in 2019 alone in Disney Plus programming. I don't know how you're going to do it. Again, am I saying it's going to be a failure right off the bat? No. Am I saying there's a possibility that this thing could fail? Absolutely. Anyway, guys, what's y'all thoughts about this? Do you think that they're maybe putting a little bit too much into this? Maybe promising too many things? Again, $23.8 billion of content, that's pretty expensive. Especially, again, since Netflix did about $14 billion, and Netflix has a very huge audience, as has been building that audience for several years. Yes, Disney could have that same kind of growth and could build that same kind of audience, but again, Bob Iger is suspecting and believing that they're going to get an automatic audience just because their name is Disney, and Disney owns several properties. But just because you own something doesn't mean people are going to want to go see it. Especially this person. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.